So I thought I'd do a quick cooking demonstration today about how to make one of our favourites, a Mexican burrito or enchilada turned into a pie, which we call Aztec pie. So here we go. G'day folks, Andy here from Manor. I've diced 2 small onions and I'm going to put them in with some garlic into the fry pan. The garlic and the onion there. We'll just keep that mixing. Otherwise the garlic burns. The only thing you've really got to watch is the garlic burns and it gets bitter, so it's not so nice. So keep that mixing around and we'll go until the onions are soft. Now I'm going to add is some minced beef. Now this is I think 500 grams and I'll sort of break that up after I put it in. I'll dice up a capsicum and add that in too. If you don't like capsicum, leave it out. That's you, Uncle Marky at Eaton's Hill. See that they're roughly mixed. I'll mix it more when I add, this is just the standard old shop bought burrito spice mix. So let's get to mixing that. I'm going to fry all that off until the meat's cooked. And then once the meat's cooked, let me show you what we're going to add. Diced tomatoes will be to make the base of the sauce. The beans will go in that sauce. That tomatoes adds to the spice mix we already put in. We throw the beans in, we throw the corn in. Now the other two, the sour cream and the cheese, is what I put on top once I've put some burrito shell across the top as a pastry. I then cover that with sour light cream and with some grated cheese. You can see that's pretty well cooked. You don't need to, get too carried away with that because we're actually going to boil it in its own sauce for a little while to get the sauce to reduce, get that lovely sort of flavour. So I'm going to add those 3 cans now to make the sauce. So I actually don't think that's enough tomato sauce. So I'm going to add another tin of diced tomatoes. Because when you put the corn and stuff in, you're going to need that extra sauce. If it was just that as a mix, and you can do just this as a mix, that's fine. In fact, that's perfect. But I'm going to put a lot more veggies in mine. So pretty comfortable. I don't need to tell you. Don't drain the tomatoes on account of you want the juice. But do drain the corn and do drain the 4 beans. Because you don't want a whole lot of water in there. So they're drained, the tomatoes aren't. This is the point in time you need to taste it to make sure it doesn't need salt or something. So we'll do that. So I'm checking for chili. No, it's got enough bite. I'm checking for salt. Probably use a little bit of salt actually. I'm going to add a little bit of salt. Often that spice mix is so salty you don't. But in this case I will. Red wine instead. It'll be just a quick splash of that. And probably half a tablespoon of brown sugar to offset the vinegar. So if you use more vinegar, use more brown sugar. That was probably half to a full teaspoon of, don't use a tablespoon, teaspoon of vinegar, and we've got a tablespoon of brown sugar, and we'll just mix all that in now. You can leave this step out completely if you want to. Normally I do. Yeah, look, I've just retasted. I don't need extra salt. My advice is definitely add the splash of vinegar and that little bit of brown sugar. Now I'm going to let that boil down till the mix is really very thick. Move this around so that it doesn't stick, and you might be able to hear I've got the oven preheating to 180 on my oven, which is a moderate oven. Alright, so I'll give that a mix now and then we'll continue to go. Probably see I've rubbed that with butter to lightly grease a pie tray. I've dug out, in this case I found some whole grain wraps, super soft. So I'm going to use them. I guess burritos would probably be neater and easier, but don't get too hung up on it. Any sort of flatbread will form our crust. So So what I'm going to do now, give that a final mix and spoon that in. Bit of a play and cut a couple to try and get roughly the right shape. Honestly, don't get too carried away with this. Just get something that's close and it's going to look okay when you cover it with cream and cheese. You can see I have boiled it down until it's not too runny. And that's what I wanted you to see when I started putting the mix in. So I got rid of a lot of the juice. That's the only timing instruction I'll give you. Make sure it's nice and thick before you attempt to use it. So she's in. Don't go right to the top, leave a bit. I've probably gone a bit high, but oh well, she'll be right. I'll stay away from the edges with the cheese and cream, sour cream. So we'll put the top on now. Leave it overhang a bit, and that actually creates a natural incline to stop it coming up over. The sides there and there, I didn't cut them off, I just tucked them in. So there you go, we're going to add the sour light cream now and then the cheese. A full 250 gram container of sour cream, and that's been spread out with just with a fork. I spooned it on and I spread it out with a fork. I've wet the edges pretty well, but most I've scraped into the center here. This is to avoid oven spill. If you want to, you can put it on a little tray. I'm getting a bit cocky now. I'm about to sprinkle the cheese on. It should go in the oven. Just grated, tasty cheese. So I'm about to shove that in the oven, folks. And we'll cook it till the top is golden and all melted. Slides into the oven. You can feel free to crack your first beer or wine or otherwise beverage of choice. I'm not going to name what I've got, and that is a little souvenir from Toledo, what I picked up when I was in Toledo, Spain. How good is that? So I'm cracking the first beer. I'll probably drink that before I check. If you're a slow drinker, I suggest you check earlier. Cheers. Look at that, beautiful. Now bear in mind, there's no taste surprises here. We've already tasted the mixture prior to putting it in here. We've adjusted to make sure it's right, so you should have no taste surprises whatsoever. It was a little full, as I suspected, but you can see it hasn't made too much mess. In hindsight, yeah, I would have took a little out. But yeah, no real mess, and it's a good looking pie. Look, my beer timer planning was pretty darn close, wasn't it? There it is. It's served on that plate with a bit of salad, and there's half left, oh, more than half. And so that's what it's looking like, and yes, it tastes good because I already know it does. Alright, now you have a good one. If you enjoy these kind of videos, feel free to subscribe, hit the little bell icon, and that'll let you know when I put a new video up. Okay, hooroo!